This is Kevin O'Keefe. I'm with Real Lawyers Have Blogs here in Chicago. And who am I talking with?
Jeff Nowak.
And you do what? You're a lawyer, obviously.
I'm a lawyer.
What type of work do you do?
I'm a labor and employment attorney representing management and all aspects of labor and employment law.
What made you want to become a lawyer?
I actually didn't want to be a lawyer at all. I wanted to be a politician. And I figured that the easiest way to be a politician would be to be an attorney.
Okay.
So I set the stage. I served as student body president in college at Indiana, where I went. And so I was ready to come back to Illinois. And as far as I was concerned, I was going to be the governor of Illinois. And worked for the governor of Illinois at the time. Went to law school. I'm ready to be a politician because that's what you got to do. You got to pay your dues in law school. About halfway through law school, I don't want to be a politician anymore.
What was the moment that caused that?
It was literally an oh crap moment. Now I've got to practice law the rest of my life. So it was a sobering time. That period of time. It was about halfway through law school. Just the thought of what it would be like, the effect of political life on the family, and so decided, this was just not for me. But then it was, wow, the practice of law. Okay, here we go. Thankfully, I was saved by working for a federal judge during law school, in which all I did was employment law. Worked on Title VII employment discrimination cases, and found the interactions with people to be fascinating. Really enjoyed kind of the HR area of law. And so that experience saved me. And if I couldn't do employment law, I wouldn't be an attorney. I would be doing something else.
Did you go to law school in Chicago then?
I went to Indiana.
You did?
Yeah, I went to Indiana undergrad, took a year off to work for the governor of Illinois, and then went back to law school at IU.
And grew up on the south side of Chicago.
I'm a South Sider.
So you could have been a South Side Chicago guy being governor.
Yeah.
Which has a mixed bag.
and especially when I tell you I'm a Republican. That would be difficult.
At that time, the dailies kind of ran the city.
Yes. Yeah, and they still do, kind of.
Yeah. You publish a blog.
I do.
And how long have you been doing it?
Almost 10 years.
Which is an amazing amount of time.
It's gone by like that.
Yeah. What made you think of doing a blog? I mean, because not every lawyer all of a sudden wakes up one day and says, "I got to have a blog."
Yeah. It was a bit of an evolution, but it was a natural evolution. Several years into the practice of law, I knew how to practice law at that point. I'm 6, 7-ish years in, and I have a grasp of employment law. I'm practicing it. I know it fairly well. And now I start thinking about what's the next step. I always wanted I always enjoyed writing, whether it was in school or in the practice of law. In fact, before I wanted to be a politician, I wanted to be a newspaper reporter. So I always had that bug in terms of writing. And it came at a time when I was trying to figure out what I was going to do with the next stage. It was the natural progression of anyone's career in a law firm. You know how to practice law, but now you have to start developing business.
Whatever that meant.
Yeah, whatever that meant, exactly. So I remember hearing about blogs, and I remember that moment when I was meeting with one of my colleagues at my previous firm where I started the blog, and I remember telling him, hey Bill, have you heard about this thing called blogging? I think we should start. And what we had been doing podcasts on issues related to the FMLA, the Family and Medical Leave Act, and we were producing 5-minute podcasts to help employers work their way through the administration of the FMLA. And so I was taking kind of that next step. Hey Bill, let's create this blog. Let's just dive in. He thought I was crazy. He thought I was nuts, and it was one of the best moves that I ever made, because it married my love of the FMLA, if anyone could have a love for the FMLA, but it married that love with writing, and so it connected the two, and it gave me that outlet to find a voice. I didn't I had no clue at the time that it would help me develop business, but it was kind of the next stage in my career. I started thinking about what do I do now that I know how to practice law? How do I start developing business? And so for me, it was just a natural progression.
Yeah, I remember meeting you the first time and talking about the FMLA, and now to me it seemed a great idea because you had a niche and you liked it.
Yeah.
I mean, how important it is to I mean, everybody should like what they're doing all the time, but it's not a perfect world. How important is it for a legal blogger to be passionate, really enjoy the area they're getting into?
It's critical. It's almost paramount. And because you need to have a passion about what you're writing about. That needs to shine through the articles that you're drafting. But perhaps more importantly, you are going to come to a point, and you're going to come to it often, where you don't want to write on your blog. You don't want anything to do with that topic. You want to throw it away for a month and move on with life. You whether it's writer's block or whether you hit that point, and it's going to pop up often. You need to come back to something that you're passionate about. If you're not passionate about it, you're going to put it to the side and you're never going to come back. So it is important to find, when you're thinking about writing, I mean, don't even be overwhelmed with the concept of a blog just yet. Just when you're thinking about, what do I want to write about? What do I want to become a thought leader about? Right. It should be something that you're really passionate about, and the blogging then builds from there.
Yeah, I mean, you're right about coming back to it, because for me, I blog about blogs, and I remember Ernie Svensson down in New Orleans when I first started it. He goes, "That's interesting, but what are you going to write about next week?"
Right, exactly.
Because that's going to be over.
Yeah.
And over time, I would write about different things with technology and different interests. And even it's only been the last couple 3 months where I said, I'm going to get back to blogging just about blogs, because I'm very passionate about it, and there's still a lot of lawyers to help, as you know. There's some misguided blogs out there. Yep. If you're talking to somebody, let's say a lawyer walks in from Littler or colleague in Chicago and says, "What do I need to think about in publishing a blog?" What do you tell them? If you're having a beer with them and or meeting them for lunch, what would you be telling them?
First and foremost, be practical. The community that you're targeting, you want to help them solve a problem. That's the bottom line, and you want to become a trusted voice in that community as you're helping them. The best compliments that I get are really twofold. One is, "Jeff, you write in a way that I can understand," and number two, "You help me solve problems." That keeps me going.
Right.
So be practical. In my blog, you're never going to see the term summary judgment or writ of habeas corpus. You're not going to see that stuff, because the everyday person has no idea what that stuff means. Instead of saying the court granted summary judgment, at least say the court dismissed the case.
Right.
Or even better, the court
threw it out.
drop kicked the case out of court. Something like that, so that you can start making those connections with people. The court granted summary judgment is meaningless to people. It doesn't help them. It doesn't help them solve a problem. And that's, so first and foremost, be practical. And be in it to help people. That's what I've found to be most rewarding, because business flows from that.
Right.
Ultimately, we're in this. If you're looking at this materialistically, we're in this to build a business.
Right.
But you should start out by the aims of finding things that you're passionate about, and helping people, being authentic and helping people. And so I guess to that end, find an authentic voice. And doing so, for me, it's just been being practical, being vulnerable, even in your blog posts, trying to find appropriate humor where you can, but having a kind of an authentic voice that people can really latch onto.
When after you started the blog and you're sitting there, I remember, and it's like, okay, I'm writing to an audience of one, because it's not like I just joined a network news show. It picked up my blog. It went out on the internet. I wait and see what happens. When did you start to think, hey, this might work for me? I mean, you probably believed it when you started, but when could you feel it? Like, okay, something's going on.
It was a couple of years. I guess patience first would be another word of advice that I would give people. Is to be patient in this process. But it was a couple of years that I was at it. I was writing, and again, trying to make things practical to just simply help employers administer the FMLA. An opportunity came up with one of the major airlines in the country, and they said flat out, we follow your blog back at our airlines, and it was just a humbling moment. It was. I mean, this is a kid from the South Side that was going to be a Major League Baseball player and be Pope and editor of the Chicago Tribune. Those were my goals early in life, and they were all shattered very quickly. So to have that high profile of a client just call up and say, we've connected with you through this blog, and we think you can help us, that was sobering. That was humbling.
Did they come in and visit you in the office?
I actually went down to visit with them.
Did you?
Yeah.
You told me the story, and I'm thinking, I can only imagine walking out of your office and telling one of your partners was just on the phone and they want to meet with me.
But that's what I mean. You really have to work at it to get to that point, and it's now.
But if you didn't if you didn't plant those seeds, where you're building that following. I mean, it's not like you could have said, okay, I've done this for 2 months, so I'm expecting them to call, because it couldn't happen.
Right. And you can't be looking for the call.
Right.
You do your thing. You write because you enjoy it. You're there to help people. You want to become a trusted voice in that area that you're in. And if you do that, you stick to it, you're practical in doing so, the people are going to come to you. It may not lead to immediate business. It's not going to lead to immediate business, but it's going to lead to developing your network of relationships that will build on each other.
What does it mean now to you as far as a business development tool? You know, that your stature nationally on FMLA.
That's a good question. I feel like I keep the same mentality. I feel like I'm still right now, perhaps more so than ever before, I'm in it to help people because I know it's had success.
Right.
Both in just from the basic standpoint, I've helped people address questions in their workplace, but it's more today, more than ever before. I find just a great deal of value in knowing that I'm helping people. Just even a post a couple of weeks ago, you know, can you discipline an employee if they take FMLA leave too often? You know, it's a question that it's a common question in our world, in the world of an HR professional, and just even the feedback that I got from folks that said, hey, you know, Jeff, thanks for that. You helped me solve a problem. I mean, that's really why I'm in it today.
Yeah, and if you keep, I mean, I used to go around my office and my partners wanted me to stop, but I used to say the more people we help, the better we're going to be. Because as we keep helping people, we're going to get known. Some of the people we're helping they're our clients, but just focus on help.
Yeah.
But those posts that you must have even done in the beginning, I would guess they are of value to existing clients that you're sharing them with or letting them know that they're out there. Because I see lawyers do that as far as dripping this information out to clients. I mean, what are your habits? I mean, you do a post, and then what do you do? Do you do anything with it? Do you share it on LinkedIn? Do you distribute it in any other way?
I post, I wouldn't say more often than 2 times a month at this point. The archive of information that you build up over time is like gold to a blogger. I had a client just last week call me and said, and this is a client I've not talked to in about 9 months, and I've done various amount of work for them over a number of years, but just a lull. And she said, you know, I was online looking for this particular issue, and lo and behold, on the first page of Google, is your blog. And you're answering this exact question that I needed help with, and it caused me to call you. So there's a lot of value once you build up your writing.
You have an online encyclopedia on FMLA.
Yeah, I mean, it really is at this point. It takes some time, and I've been at it 10 years. It takes some time, but that is of value to you over the course of many years. What do I do now? When I publish that post, I just don't let it sit there, and that's one of the worst things that a blogger can do is you write the post and it sits there and you hope that everyone comes to it. That doesn't happen. You have to use the full gamut of social media to your advantage. So I immediately hit Twitter. Twitter, modest success there, but it's of value to people. What I find in terms of social media, I find the most value in LinkedIn.
Right.
So because there I find that I'm able to engage in more authentic conversations with people about that issue.
Right.
And so, and LinkedIn has been the best for me at starting up those conversations and getting them going, because it's all about, at the end of the day, for us attorneys that are blogging, is how do you become a trusted voice on that particular issue? And social media like LinkedIn can do that for you. So I get the mileage out of a typical post in large part through social media like LinkedIn.
Yeah, I mean, when I'm telling people about LinkedIn, I said the blog is a currency of engagement. You've got it.
Mm-hmm.
Now you got to go use it.
Mm-hmm.
And you put it out on LinkedIn, you may notice some people like it, they may comment, but those are opportunities to chat with those folks or just
Mm-hmm.
pass them a note type of thing. So it's just being out, networking, except you don't have to leave your desk.
What young people, and the advice, I don't know if this is one of your questions, but what I tell young attorneys these days is that social media gives us, as the younger generation of attorneys, I don't know if I consider myself a younger generation attorney anymore, but it gives...
What are you my age? And all the lawyers look like they're 18.
Yeah, they are looking a little younger these days. But they have a tool, students coming out of law school these days, they have a tool that we just didn't have many, many years ago. And I look at the generation before me, the baby boomers, it took them decades to build up trust. And they spent a ton of time doing it. 3-hour dinners. I'm thinking of some of the attorneys at growing up as a young attorney, and the named partner of the firm, he'd be out to dinner or engagement every night.
Go to conferences, speaking, writing.
Yes, yeah, just a lot of excess work.
I'm sitting in La Crosse and go, okay, where are the great trial lawyers? Well, they aren't all right here in my community of 40,000. Well, I better join the State Trial Lawyers Association. Wow, if I'm on the board, I'll really hang out with better people and raise my reputation and learn something. What's the national thing? And now you're the national thing. You're going to a conference in D.C., but you're constantly trying to do things that can raise your, it's trusted advisor. If thought leader is the right word, I don't know, but people trust you because you engage with people like a person. You don't always talk like a lawyer, but you're there to help people. Yeah. Now you have a blog. I mean, somebody's out, 2 years. I mean, think about that. You say, well, gee, it took a long time. It was building up. People like a large airline were following it, but it took 2 years for me to start to have a national reputation out of my office.
Yeah, it is. It's wild.
And then you think about it, and then LinkedIn comes along and it says, hey, if you want to, you can sit on your iPhone and share some stuff and put a note on LinkedIn, and it'll go to a bunch of people, and in another 3 hours you'll get to see who you get to engage on your phone. Or it's very doable today. What was not as doable before. So even though we talk about hard work, yeah, it's hard, but everything is hard.
Right.
But it's doable today. You can actually set a dream and go out and do it. One thing that I find interesting, my kids know I have a blog. Do your kids know that you have a blog?
It's a joke around the house.
I'll bet. How so?
Oh my goodness. Well, it's such a joke around the house that we celebrate the FMLA's birthday at my house. And and that was a couple of years back.
Does it
where
get a cake?
We got a cake. We got a cake. We celebrated the FMLA's 25th birthday, and that was kind of a breaking moment where I had to explain to the kids what the FMLA was. Or actually, I asked them, I said, I'll pay you $20 if anyone could tell me what the FMLA stands for. And after a half hour, someone finally got family. That's about the best I got. And so, but there, in that moment, I told them, Dad's not like a famous baseball player, but I'm kind of like famous on this blog that's FMLA, and they thought I was an utter fool. Like, yeah, whatever, Dad.
He's confused.
So, but in that moment, I think they realized that, oh, Dad really cares about this FMLA thing. So now my young kids will actually draw me pictures of the FMLA, and it has become kind of a running joke in our family.
How is the FMLA depicted?
In various ways. I mean, normally it's whatever my 5-year-old wants to draw.
How old are your kids?
My oldest is 14 through age 5. I have 4 kids.
It's a good story. But I mean, they're going to look back at age like 25 and go, that FMLA thing that Dad thought was kind of wacky, that helped us go to college.
Yeah, I try to remind them that. Yes.
So I'm sitting here doing blog posts. I'm actually paying for your college education.
Exactly.
I don't want to make this an advertisement for LexBlog, but I'm always curious. What was the problem that LexBlog solved for you? Because you could go out and do a blogger blog or anything out there, on your own. So you guys had lots of choices, or you did. What was the problem that you said, okay, this could do this for me or us?
Well, you knew the space, and you knew it very well. So from day one, you kind of held my hand as we walked. I felt like together in creating something that would give me a great deal of credibility to the outside world. The responsiveness was from day one through now 10 years later has been second to none. So that's what you need, that support system as you're building up a blog. And so in terms of helping me solve problems, it gave me credibility in a way that I don't think other blogs just kind of standing on their own have. So that meant a lot to me, as particularly as I was getting off the ground, and then being able to have a network like LexBlog that promotes my blog into a larger space. It helps me again stay in the forefront of that conversation. Who are the leaders in employment law? LexBlog helps me stay in the game.
No, we try. I think it comes back to, like you're saying, you find something that you enjoy, and then you help people along the way.